Keychron has released many keyboards under the Q series, so it is refreshing to see the company release something new. This is the Keychron V1, a hybrid between the Keychron Q series and the K series, as you'll find out further down this review. If you want an affordable 75% keyboard, keep on watching this review of the Keychron V1. It's certainly an interesting one. So let's talk specifications. The Keychron V1 is a 75% keyboard with an exploded layout. It also has most of the features of Keychron's new keyboards, including a hot swap PCB, south-facing RGB lighting, a steel plate, as well as QMK and VR compatibility. Aside from that, even though the V1 looks quite a bit like the Q1, it actually doesn't use a gasket mounting system, unfortunately enough. Instead, it uses a tray mount system, so you can expect a stiff typing experience, and I'll talk more about this later on in this review. Of course, this being a plastic keyboard, or more specifically, it has an ABS plastic body, it is very affordable. The base model without any switches or keycaps, or the barebone version basically, costs only $74 US. Hi! Future Andrew here. So a couple of hours after we shot the video, Keychron actually revealed new prices for the V1. So right now, the barebone version goes for only $54 US, while the fully assembled kit goes for $74 US. It's basically a $20 price cut across the range, which makes the V1 that much more compelling, as you'll see in the rest of this video, which we'll get back to right now. And if you want a knob, you can put one right at the top right corner for only $10 more. Now, onto things that I like about the Keychron V1, starting with its sound profile. Thanks to its plastic ABS case, it does not have any case ping at all. Zero, none at all, which is fantastic because honestly, it is one of my biggest complaints about Keychron's Q series keyboards. On top of that, the plastic case is also more talky than clacky, which is to say it has a lower pitch sound profile rather than a higher pitch one. That being said, if you put in a clacky switch on this keyboard, it will sound clacky, but the reverse is also true. To better illustrate this phenomenon, we actually installed the Anubis switch on this keyboard compared to the Gateron Phantom Red switch, which is much more clacky compared to the Anubis, which is very talky. Take a listen for yourself. Aside from its sound profile, another aspect of the V1 that I really like is its design. Yes, it looks very similar to the Q1, which looks a little bit dated with its large bezels, but on the V1, at least on this frosted black model, it does work in my opinion. I like the fact that I can see the screws on this keyboard, and it reminds me of the Novokeys NK65, which was my first custom keyboard. So this could be my own personal bias, but take it what you will. Another design element of the V1 that I like are these multi-level feet, unlike the Q1, which has no adjustment at all. So you can use the taller feet if you want a more aggressive angle, but you can also use the tinier feet if you want just a slight elevation over the standard height of this keyboard. That's really nice, and it's implemented well in my opinion. Just like Keychron's Q series keyboard, the V1 also comes with QMK and VR compatibility, which is great to easily customize the mapping of this keyboard. Granted, in our testing, VR support doesn't come out of the box, but it's not that difficult to just go to Keychron's website, download the JSON file for the V1, load it up on VR, and voila! You can easily customize the keyboard's mapping right then and there. Okay, now let's talk about some negatives of the V1, starting with its typing feel, because this is a tray-mounted keyboard. As a result, you do get a very stiff typing experience compared to the Q series keyboards, which has a softer gasket mounting system. If you like a stiff typing experience, then yes, this will not be a negative, but for me personally, I prefer a bit more bounce in my keyboard, so the V1 stiff typing experience just isn't for me. I'm also not a big fan of the steel plate of the V1 because in my opinion, it just makes this keyboard even more stiff than it should be. If it had a polycarbonate plate, for example, it could possibly make it more torquey while also softening the typing experience for a more comfortable, pleasant typing feel over time. Last but certainly not least is the build quality of the V1. Now, don't get me wrong, this actually feels very solid in my hands, even if it creaks a little bit with added pressure, but this is an ABS plastic keyboard. No, what I mean is, as we were disassembling this keyboard to look at the internals, the screws holding onto the tray mount system were actually stripping the threads, and over time, as you disassemble it and assemble it yet again, it could possibly strip and you cannot screw it in anymore, which could be very, very annoying. Granted, if you're careful about it, it should be fine, but I was relatively careful with it and I was already seeing some bits of plastic dust and I don't like seeing that. So then, is the Keychron V1 worth it? I mean, for only $74 US, you can really do a lot worse. That is not to say the V1 is good just because it's affordable, no, because it's still quite a handsome looking keyboard with a pretty good sound profile, and Keychron has improved by leaps and bounds over the years, and the V1 is just a perfect example of this. It's affordable, it has a pleasant typing experience, the built-in stabilizers are actually not too bad, it doesn't take too much, though the backspace does take a little bit, but nothing a little bit of lube can't fix. And that is our review of the Keychron V1. It's certainly worth it for those who are shopping for a budget-friendly 75% keyboard, and the tray mounting system isn't ideal, but it is not the end of the world because it still looks quite good, and for only $74, what more can you ask for? Nonetheless, here's our sound test of the Keychron V1 completely stock with Gateron Phantom Red switches and Keychron's double-shot PBT Cherry keycaps that we received from the company. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and always stay tuned for more good stuff to come here on this channel and nextshift.com.